Picture this. You're cruising down the interstate at 70 miles per hour in your brand new dealer special Hyundai Tucson. You're listening to a podcast, the adaptive cruise is set, life is good. Then, for absolutely no reason, the car slams on the brakes like it just saw a ghost. No cars ahead, no tumbleweed, just pure, unadulterated phantom braking terror. We'll get to that lawsuit and the terrifying repair bills that can follow any minute now. But first, welcome to the show. Today, we're cutting through the glossy brochure nonsense and dealership fairy tales to bring you a raw, real-world comparison of the 2026 Hyundai Tucson and the 2026 Kia Sportage. These are two compact SUVs that dominate American driveways, but here's the three-word truth you'll never hear from a salesperson. They're basically twins. Born from the same Hyundai-Kia corporate mothership on the same N3 platform, they're like two siblings who raided the same closet but put together wildly different outfits. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which one to buy, which one to avoid, and which must-have features might just put you in a ditch. We'll cover real pricing, real reliability, owner gripes, and those sneaky financial traps the dealers hope you miss. And stick around because there's a mid-roll bombshell about a second channel you'll actually want to check out. Let's talk design, because this is purely subjective, but also where the first major split happens. For model year 2026, both vehicles are firmly in their current generation that debuted a few years back, but they've each received a significant mid-cycle facelift. The Tucson went all in on the cyberpunk aesthetic with its parametric dynamics design language. It's got those sharp, angular creases and a distinct LED light bar integrated into the grille that makes it look like a concept car that escaped the auto show. The Sportage, meanwhile, took the tiger nose grille and evolved it into something that owners on the forums describe as a baby Telluride. It's bolder, more muscular, and arguably more traditionally upscale. The buyer for each is distinct. The Tucson is for the tech-forward suburban parent who wants to feel like they're living slightly in the future, someone who appreciates a 12.3-inch digital instrument cluster that blends seamlessly into the center infotainment screen. The Sportage is for the buyer who wants maximum perceived value and interior wow factor. That boomerang-shaped trim piece on the dash and the optional red leather interior scream, "I paid more than I did." The Tucson's main strength is its massive cargo hold and whisper-quiet hybrid system. Its biggest weakness? That avant-garde dash layout and capacitive touch climate control panel that owners say is an absolute nightmare to use in direct sunlight. You simply can't see the tiny glossy black buttons. The Sportage's main strength is its posh, almost luxury-level interior design and a slightly lower price point. Its weakness is a ride that can feel too floaty on the highway, and a base engine that can only be called adequate on a good day. This brings us to the mechanical heart of these machines, and this is where things get genuinely interesting, and for some, financially catastrophic. Let's talk engines and transmissions. In the US market, both start with a base 2.5-liter naturally aspirated four-cylinder. In the Tucson, this engine churns out 187 horsepower and 178 pound-feet of torque, and it's paired with an 8-speed automatic transmission. The Sportage's 2.5-liter also makes the exact same 187 horsepower. They're virtually identical, and frankly, both are pretty gutless. Great for running errands, but if you need to merge onto a fast-moving highway with 4 passengers and a trunk full of Costco goods, you'll be flooring it and praying. The best engine, the one you want, is the 1.6-liter turbocharged hybrid powertrain. In the Tucson, this setup delivers a combined 226 horsepower and a buttery smooth driving experience. It uses a conventional 6-speed automatic, not a fancy dual-clutch transmission, which is a glorious thing for long-term reliability. The Sportage Hybrid also uses the 1.6-liter turbo and kicks out up to 227 horsepower. On paper, the Kia is one pony richer. In reality, they drive identically. Real-world fuel economy for both hybrids is stellar, hovering around 36 to 37 miles per gallon combined if you don't drive like a maniac, with the Tucson eking out an almost unbelievable 38 miles per gallon on its base blue SE trim. City driving in either hybrid is a silent, serene affair, gliding on electric power more often than not. On the highway, the cabin remains remarkably settled, though the Tucson's sound insulation is 1 decibel class superior to the Kia's, which lets a touch more wind roar around those big side mirrors. Now, the engine to absolutely positively avoid at all costs? The 2.5-liter non-turbo in the Tucson if it's ever paired with the dreaded 7-speed dry dual-clutch transmission, or DCT. While this DCT has mostly been phased out of the 2026 Tucson lineup in favor of that slick 8-speed auto for the gas-only model, you need to be hyper-vigilant when buying used. Our forum deep dive revealed owners reporting harsh engagement, shuddering, and a transmission that feels like someone hit you from behind at 30 kilometers per hour. The current DCT in the hybrid is a wet clutch design and much smoother, but the old dry clutch DCTs are a money pit waiting to happen. For the Sportage, the 8-speed automatic across the board is a safe, reliable bet. There are no widespread reports of transmission failure on the 2026 models, though some owners on the Kia forums complain of occasional low RPM bogging and vibration with the base 2.5-liter engine. Okay, here comes the promised bombshell. While we're dissecting engines, you're probably wondering what happens if your Tucson's engine suddenly decides to redecorate the asphalt with its internals. Earlier this year, Hyundai recalled a batch of 2025 and 2026 Tucsons because the connecting rod bolts in the engine may have been improperly tightened. The official warning: a loss of drive power and possibly an oil leak that could cause an engine compartment fire. Yeah, that's nightmare fuel. The repair involves a dealer checking the torque on the bolts, but if damage has already occurred, you're looking at a complete engine replacement. If you are buying a used 2025-2026 Tucson, you must, and I mean must, verify this recall was performed. The Sportage hasn't had this specific catastrophic engine recall, but Kia isn't walking away clean. There's a separate recall for over 42,000 vehicles where a software error can cause the instrument panel display to just go completely blank while you're driving. No speedometer, no warning lights, nothing. Kia says a software update fixes it, but it's not exactly a vibe of unshakable quality.
Now let's talk comfort, handling, and the stuff you live with every single day. The Sportage has a softer, more compliant suspension tuning. It absorbs potholes beautifully, making city commuting feel cushioned. The trade-off is notable body roll when you throw it into a corner, with Motor Trend noting the body rebounds and wobbles in reaction. The Tucson's chassis is a bit firmer and more tied down, feeling more European and controlled on twisty back roads without punishing you over broken pavement. Neither is a sports car, but the Tucson inspires a bit more confidence. Interior space is a huge win for both. They're class-leading around. The Tucson offers 38.7 cubic feet of cargo space behind the rear seats, expanding to a cavernous 80.3 cubic feet with the seats folded flat. The Sportage is slightly tighter at 39.6 cubic feet behind the second row and 74.1 cubic feet when folded. The difference isn't massive, but the Tucson's lower liftover height and flatter load floor make it the Home Depot hero. Rear legroom in both is shockingly generous for the class, with the Sportage offering a hair more front headroom and the Tucson conversely offering a fraction more rear headroom. Let's talk tech, where both of these Korean juggernauts absolutely dunk on the Toyota RAV4 and Honda CR-V. Both feature a standard 12.3-inch curved infotainment display that's crisp, responsive, and loaded with standard wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. However, the Tucson's new CCNC operating system supports over-the-air updates and a more advanced digital key, letting you lock, unlock, and start the car with just your iPhone or Android phone. The Sportage has its own digital key feature, but it's less universally rolled out across trims. Safety-wise, the SmartSense suite in the Hyundai and the DriveWise suite in the Kia are effectively the same silicon with different badges. You get adaptive cruise control with stop and go, lane keeping assist, and automatic emergency braking with pedestrian and cyclist detection. Both offer highway driving assist, essentially level 2 semi-autonomous driving that combines adaptive cruise with lane centering. It works beautifully on well-marked interstates. But here's the ghost we teased at the start. Some Tucson owners are genuinely terrified of the forward collision avoidance system. A class action lawsuit filed in California alleges that 2025 and 2026 Tucson models suffer from phantom braking, where the system slams on the brakes at high speed with no obstacle in sight. Hyundai's own manual admits the system may operate unnecessarily depending on road conditions. Owners on the Tucson forum are furious. If you're considering the Hyundai, test this system aggressively on your test drive, on a highway, over bridges, and in shadows. The Kia's system, while based on the same core technology, hasn't generated the same volume of formal complaints. Kia has even added highway driving assist too, which uses navigation data to anticipate curves and adjust speed proactively, and owners report it to be genuinely smooth and unobtrusive. Other tech goodies? A crisp head-up display is available on higher trims of both, but neither bothers with adaptive suspension or the flashy new Matrix LED headlights that European cars get. They're also not software-defined vehicles. You can't subscribe to horsepower upgrades later, thank goodness, but the OTA update capability keeps the infotainment fresh. Useful if you plan to own the car for a decade.
Now for the part that makes or breaks a deal, the cold, hard American financial reality. Before we go further, I should mention that if you're finding this deep dive useful, check out our second channel, Garage Economics, where we break down the lifetime cost of owning cars like this down to the penny. Subscribing there helps us keep these videos free of corporate PR spin. Let's talk dollars. The 2026 Hyundai Tucson starts at around $30,800, including destination. The 2026 Kia Sportage starts a bit lower, at $29,450. That's bait. The value sweet spot for the Tucson is the SEL trim, which lands around $34,000 but adds the big screen, heated seats, and blind spot monitoring. For the Sportage, the EX trim is the Goldilocks. You get the fancy interior and key safety tech without the SX prestigious price tag. But here's where it gets painful. Depreciation. Both these models suffer from it more than their Japanese rivals. A Tucson, as it approaches its 10th birthday or 100,000 miles, sees a trade-in value that dips meaningfully steeper than a comparable Honda CR-V. The Sportage isn't immune. After 5 years, an EX model will depreciate nearly $17,000, leaving a residual value of only $14,896. Maintenance costs for the Kia Sportage Hybrid average about $1,839 annually, while fleet data for the Tucson plug-in hybrid shows total maintenance costs hitting $3,665 over a typical fleet-run life cycle. Parts availability for both is generally excellent thanks to the shared platform and robust U.S. dealer networks, though specific hybrid battery components can sometimes face a week-long wait. If you're buying used, first, check for that Tucson engine recall. Second, check the Kia's instrument cluster software update. And third, carefully examine the glossy black interior trim on both, because it scratches if you look at it wrong and is shockingly expensive to replace. So, what's the final verdict? Which version is the best overall, and who should buy which? If you prioritize a slightly sharper drive, maximum cargo space, whisper-quiet hybrid operation, and a more avant-garde aesthetic, the 2026 Hyundai Tucson Hybrid is the better vehicle. Specifically, get the SEL convenience trim. It dodges the DCT nightmares, gives you all the smart tech you need, and protects you from the worst depreciation of the higher limited and ultimate trims. However, if you have zero patience for phantom braking paranoia, or you were personally traumatized by that engine recall, I get it. You should not buy the Tucson.
For you, the 2026 Kia Sportage Hybrid, specifically the EX trim, is the smarter play. It's priced slightly lower, the interior punches way above its price point, Highway Driving Assist 2 is genuinely more polished, and there's less recall-induced drama hanging over its head in this specific model year. The ride is softer, which passengers love, even if enthusiast drivers cringe at the cornering.
You should avoid the base 2.5-liter engine in both cars unless you enjoy treating the accelerator pedal like a light switch. Always on, speed always theoretical. If you're the kind of person who keeps a car for 10 years and wants a secure, predictable financial return at the end, the Toyota RAV4 or Honda CR-V remain the objectively safer, if soul-crushingly boring, bets. But between these two Korean cousins, the 2026 Sportage Hybrid is the pragmatic, less anxiety-inducing choice, while the 2026 Tucson Hybrid is the bolder, more rewarding drive that asks you to trust its tech just a little more than current owners would advise. What do you think? Would you roll the dice on the Tucson's futuristic tech and risk a ghost in the machine? Or is the Sportage's softer, safer value proposition more your speed? And if you've owned either of these 2026 models, drop a comment about your real-world fuel economy. We're hearing wildly different numbers out there. Let us know in the comments. And if you found this entertaining, smash that like button and subscribe so we can keep exposing the truth behind the spec sheets. See you in the next one.